robberies, spousal assault, drugs. Most crimes are committed by young men. What can we do to make our city safer?
We do a lot to make our city safer. And, you know, I know this has become an issue when people look at stats and we say the crime is down 20%, and it's down 12%, and people say, well, the statistics are gerrymandered, or it still doesn't make a difference that the crime rate is down because we have crime. Of course we do. We're an urban center. What we have done is Norwalk is one of the few cities in the country that received a $500,000 mentoring grant, intervention grant, that we work with Reverend Dancy for his outreach program, the Human Services Council, and the YMCA for mentoring, intervention. Darlene Young runs that program. We have it's for an adult mentoring outside the school system. We, of course, have the mentoring within the Board of Ed system. I am currently a mentor. Our police are fully funded. We've given them every penny that they've asked for. We've made numerous arrests. Most of the crime is gang on gang with young people. Government can only do so much. We need parental involvement, and we need the community to step up and talk to us. The no snitch rule has to be ruled out. Now, we've heard about people being afraid to walk out their doors, and the crime in the city, and people are frightened into running into buildings, and they're frightened of everything in this city. That's not the Norwalk I know. We have some issues, never denied that. And the way they're going to be treated is to take the bad guys off the street, continuing the mentoring programs, the outreach programs, working with the Board of Education in their outreach programs. But I will tell you, the community has to step up, they have to react, they have to communicate with us. We'll do the job as best we can, and we continue to do the job. Would I like it to be better? Of course. No mayor wants to see a shooting. No mayor wants to see a young man involved and taken off to jail. But we'll continue to work on that. We'll continue to work with our police, our resource officers, and our community policing.
Thank you. Mr. Garfunkel?
Yes, well, you mentioned it's not the Norwalk that you know, but it is the Norwalk that many people are living out there in right now. We hear about the gun violence, and we hear about shots fired, and we hear about responses to those. And you have responded at times that, well, only 50% of those responses have turned out to be fireworks. Well, then we need a better fireworks ordinance in the city, because the general public, and even myself, I wouldn't know the difference between a fireworks shot and a gunshot from a distance. We need to put more resources on the street. The police department has been funded, but we need to put these folks back on the street. What people are talking to me about, as I've been talking to them out in the neighborhoods, they would like to see the presence of the police officers, either on a bike patrol or a foot patrol, the neighborhood beat cop. Whether or not we go into having neighborhood watch programs. And you know what, if some of these projects feel that they need an ambassador type program, or a program that would put civilians on the street with radios that are in contact and in some type of uniform, so they're in contact with the police department and patrolling their neighborhoods or patrolling their projects, and they feel good about that and feel safer that way, that's a good thing. We need to listen to our constituents. Yes, we need to hear from them, but we also want them to know that when they do respond to us, that we're going to listen to them and that we're going to take their concerns seriously. We can establish another tips line for guns, not a gun for cash program. This is a tips line that, when called into anonymously, would be getting a PIN code. This would serve for a reward if a gun has been confiscated or an arrest has been made to this tip. This, again, is just not giving out money for somebody who buys a gun at Walmart and brings it down to the police station. The neighborhoods have to feel safe. Again, nobody wants to come home to their car from the train station and find that it was broken into. Nobody wants to come home to find their home ransacked.
Thank you. Mr. Moccia?
Well, first of all, heard this thing. I don't know if you really want to believe the chief of police or not, but he put it in a public article that his department has received every resource, that we have extra community policing out there, that we have used federal money to put extra police on the street, that we have used drug asset forfeiture money that we have seized to put community policing on the street. I said we have the motorcycle patrols. You sort of poo-pooed that and said, yeah, but we don't have bike patrols. Well, we do have bike patrols. And contrary to the piece of literature that you put out, where you stated, and I'm curious if you stand by this, that I slashed the police funding. That is absolutely erroneous. I did not slash their operational expenses in any way, shape, or form. Their budget was reduced because of savings in a non-operational end in insurance and not purchasing cars that had been purchased a year before. To put out that I slashed their budget is erroneous.
Thank you. Mr. Garfunkel?
Yes,
Any other comments?
the fact that the police department has been funded properly, the folks want to see these officers visible to them. You talked earlier about having undercover officers, and that's what they do, but you know what? They're not visible to the general public. The neighborhoods, the folks that are out there are not seeing the presence of the police. We did have a much larger bike patrol several years ago. That was cut back. We still have the equipment here, but it is not being used to its full potential.
Thank you.
That's
We'll
okay.
move on to the next
Yes.
question. Mr. Garfunkel?